But I certainly have everything ready to go. So we'll go through. Feel free to break in if you have any questions. It's kind of actually a really interesting topic today on how to reach out to school districts and sell to school districts, the different ways to do it. So I will share my screen. Too fast. This is webinar series 3. Today we're discussing selling to schools markets. I am Malisa Niles, farm to school contractor for the South Dakota Specialty Producers Association. We're going to kind of dive into the world of farm to school and how we can bring it to South Dakota. And today we're going to talk about specifically selling to school markets. Our learning objectives for today is to identify the best market channels for selling to schools based on what our operation capacity is. In section 1, we will learn about the various types of market channels that you utilize to sell your products to schools, as well as common benefits, potential drawbacks, and important considerations for your farm, so that you may determine the best market channel options for your business. Next, in section B, we were going to learn more about details about making direct schoolwork work for you, such as meeting school market standards, understanding common vendor requirements, and approaching and establishing effective working communication relationships with school buyers. And today we're going to wrap up at the end of the year, end of the module, not end of year, because we still got 3 weeks left. Action planning activity where we can identify any knowledge gaps we may have to look into and begin cultivating and refining your goals for the next steps in effectively working with relationships. Okay. So section 1, as we talked about, there are 2 primary supply chain models for getting your school markets: direct to school and intermediate. According to the USDA Farm to School Census, 63% of school districts that participate in farm to school use intermediates, such as distributors. A little more challenging in South Dakota because we don't have a lot of food hubs or distributors, but there's ways to work through that. And 40% of schools report they get their local food through the farmer. Now, how does our product get to store? Once we have a producer, we have intermediate market channels, local retail outlets, food hubs, regional distributors. Those are the 60% that we discussed. We have the national wholesale distributors, broadline distributions, food service management companies, and USDA program. That's a big hub. So it's going to be a little harder in South Dakota to reach that hub, but it is possible. And then what I see most producers using in South Dakota is direct to the school. They sell to the school districts. There's a collective purchasing cooperative and buying groups. So you have a food hub on the eastern side of the state. We do not have one on this side, on the western side of the state yet. But we do have farmers markets that can do a collective thing. We have options. Intermediate market channels, local retail outlets. You're selling to your local grocery stores. There's a lot of little places that are popping up throughout South Dakota, little area grocery stores or farm stands. Those are all options. You have regional aggregators and food hubs, value-added processors, and independent and local distributors. Selling to schools through retail outlets. So that would be established retail outlet. The retail outlet goes to the school, or the school goes to the retail outlet and makes your purchases there. Selling through regional distributors, a little not quite here in South Dakota. We have those, but it's an option. I know we have there are several organizations that have grants in to develop regional distributors. So considerations for selling to schools through regional distributors. These channels can be a good match. Producers They do source small. I apologize. It seems like Tuesday mornings I get this horrible call. Many distributors rely on established suppliers for considerations, understanding forward contracting. So you have to have the plan in place. You have to plan ahead, possibly years ahead in production, so you can reach those quantities they need or exactly what variety they need. Having a food safety plan and food safety certification, very important, even if you're just having a farm stand. Product quality and post-harvest handling, ability to provide computerized invoices and record keeping, and contingency plans. It requires a lot more organization to go through regional, national, but wholesale distribution channels, broadline distributors, food service management companies, and USDA programs, such as Foods and Fresh, or DoD Fresh. A little trickier here in South Dakota just because of our location. Direct-to-school supply chains, these are the ones we see more in South Dakota. I know they're 40% nationwide, but I believe it's a higher number here. Direct-to-school supply chains are what many people think of first when they hear farm to school, a relationship between your local producer and your school. I know several local producers that supply their school. They go in, actually teach the kids where the food comes from. It's a great opportunity for increasing this public's awareness of local foods. Direct-to-school buyers, your buyers they might have a school food authority, school nutrition directors, food service managers, procurement managers. Then I mentioned it before with some opportunities for direct school market channels is to have farmers market and farm stands. They can sell directly to schools through the farmers market channels they may be already utilizing. CSAs, schools may become a CSA drop site or offer farm opportunities, local school contracts, and purchase orders. Producers can sell directly to school districts using formal and informal procedure methods. Collective purchasing models, producers can potentially establish themselves as a supplier. They can access food markets. Aggregating product demand, that means collecting, working with others, increasing product volumes, and expanding school sales. Some of the smaller producers can get together and sell to school districts and become like a food hub or a co-op, but not in organized fashion, just more of a work group or an aggregation. Direct to school potential benefits, higher levels of customer satisfaction. The school staff, the children, their parents all get to know their farmers. Allows you to retain and grow your brand of business. If they know your brand, they're more apt to recognize it and purchase it in the non-school area. Potential markets for lower grade products, consumer direct lines for communication. Parents know you, they see each ball game, they can have great communication, increase competitiveness in the bidding process, and local decision-making process. So it opens doors doing a direct school. Okay, some drawbacks. You have increased time spent marketing products. A lot of producers want to be in the field. They don't want to be on the phone or visiting schools. Complexity of determining a fair price, quantity versus quality, supply and demand kind of thing. Inputs, production, distribution, assurance. Food safety standards. You might have to increase your infrastructure to ensure post-harvest handling systems align with required food safety standards. In regards to washing, processing, and storage products, require documentation and record keeping. Again, your producer usually likes to be out in the field and not in doing all the paperwork, which is important. So it allows for quality management and traceability systems to reduce liability. Potential requirement for increased distribution capacity. School clients are accustomed to certain delivery and drop-off services from vendors, so you might have to arrange delivery. They're not going to just always come to the farm. Payment process often require invoicing, and they require you establishing a vendor. So there's things you have to learn to navigate when you're going to sell to the schools. Choosing a market channel that works best for you. We've discussed that there are many ways to get your products into the schools. These marketing channels offer diverse benefits and must be explored with key considerations in mind. The key is identifying the market channel or multiple channels that allow you to find the balance between what the buyer, which is the school, needs and what you, the producer, can reasonably produce, and at what price. But as we're working through this, let's think about our farm goals and access potential market channels that may work for your current operation or what you might want to access or increase in the future. Okay, selling to school districts. What is selling solicitations? Solicitations are how a school district communicate what products they're looking for, when do they need them, how much they need, any requirements they may have. The basics of a school solicitation, whether they are a conversation or a written document, solicitations typically contain the following information or the building blocks. Background information outlines the goals and motivations of the program. Description of goods and services. It outlines the product needs and specifications. Procurement methods outlines how the purchase will be evaluated and completed. Technical requirements outlines the vendor requirements and award criteria. And the timeline states duration of the purchasing agreement. An example would be time limited with a closing date or ongoing. Accessing the school district solicitations. So they have a lot of the larger school districts have there are several different types of solicitations used by school districts seeking to purchase local foods. These may vary from informal solicitations, like providing quotes for micro and small purchases, to formal solicitations, such as requests for proposals or invitations to bid. It is important, if you're going to be seeking a formal purchasing relationship, school districts are required to publicly announce and advertise for requests for proposals or invitations to bid. Informal solicitations are not required for public posting. These can be conducted through the direct outreach of producers with new existing relationships with the school district. I believe in South Dakota, if it's under 10,000, it can be informal. Anything over that requires a bid process. School districts use a variety of methods to communicate these solicitations, such as emails, phone calls, in-person conversations. So a lot of different ways to communicate with school districts. Understanding product specifications. Specifications describe product standards requiring to meet the needs of school markets you are seeking to sell to. They are not a one-size-fits-all, but commonly include product variety, for example, heirloom variety typical to the region, quality standards for size, for example, minimally processed or seconds, and quantity and package size, for example, wholesale packs versus sales by unit. Now that we know what to look for in solicitations to find out what school districts are looking to purchase, we will dive into the details of meeting their product standards or specifications. These are often described in the solicitation of the detail. Would be included in product variety, quality, quantity. Specifications are based on industry standards. School buyers may be accustomed to receiving grade A products and wholesale pack size from distributors. That does not mean these standards are necessary for their operation. There is flexibility. Producers can support this process by helping school food associations understand what standards are feasible for local markets to meet. An example would be your ability to deviate from standards might make your product more attractive to the school buyers. Small apples don't meet other standards, may be a great fit for the schools. They are better for the little hands and can be offered whole to students, minimizing processing time and be part of the school service. It's important to understand that potential vendors must be able to meet the required specifications stated in the solicitation, or they will be considered non-responsive. Vendor requirements vary from solicitation type to school district. However, there are some common requirements for potential vendors to be seeking to sell to school markets. Includes post-harvest handling practices, harvest and hand washing station procedures, product traceability and labeling information, and packaging requirements, including details like new boxes or reusable crates. Food safety practices, third-party certification programs. An example would be Good Agriculture Practices, or GAP, or Good Handling Practices, GHP, requiring the infrastructure, such as stations or cold storage, and your food safety plans, including your documentation of the practices. Insurance and licenses, product liability insurance, auto insurance in case of delivery, business licenses, and Perishable Commodities Act licenses. Payment systems, including invoicing systems, payment schedules, lag times, often no payment upon delivery, and registration required for vendor systems. And distribution logistics. Delivery locations, schedules, equipment required. An example would be like access to loading bays, being able to unload the truck. Do you need a piece of equipment? It can be done by hand. It's important to know that some vendors requirements are mandatory to comply with federal rules, while others are determined by the school districts. Food safety, delivery requirements. Regardless, a producer responding to a solicitation must be able to comply in order to be eligible for the selection. Is important tips to remember when responding to school district solicitations. Pay attention to the standard pack size. Indicate your capacity to meet this request. This helps ensure that your pricing is appropriate and that the school will be ready to receive your products with necessary storage and processing capacity. A benefit of working directly with school districts is sometimes producers may find opportunities to sell products to the school that might not meet the standards of others, picky buyers, and therefore add profit to your operation. Discuss options of ungraded or lower graded products, and remember there is some flexibility. For new product offerings, example would be products the school has never purchased before, or ungraded products, if applicable, be sure to be proactive. Start by describing how you typically grade or sort and pack products, and then ask how they would like to receive them. And then you'll negotiate to come to a common agreement. Remember to keep school districts in mind when negotiating potential deviations from standards. Specifications are often utilized by school food authorities to ensure that competitive purchasing and to maintain predictable operational capacity. It is also important to make the opportunity to stand out as a local vendor. You can indicate you're interested in offering field trips, coming for classroom visits, providing marketing materials to support cafeteria-based promotion, and supporting special events. All these activities are great examples of how important offering that adds to value to your products and differentiates you as a local vendor. Remember, in order to be considered responsive, potential vendors must be able to deliver on all the quantities named in the solicitation. Understanding what motivates a school nutrition director. You should make the opportunity to meet the school food service director for a district to learn their specific needs or requirements. Do not assume that all schools have the same motivations and requirements. Knowing the current landscape of the school meal program you want to work with will help you decide the best approach to take with the school nutrition director to avoid common pitfalls and ultimately lose the sale. You should make the opportunity to meet with the school nutrition director or other school buyer to learn about their specific needs and requirements. Some key points to consider are program goals. Understanding the buyer's professional and personal motivations may provide producers with the opportunity to negotiate requirements based on shared values and priorities. Product needs, ask the kinds of products they are interested in purchasing locally. How much or how often do they need these products to be processed? And how are they used to receiving local products? You may want to consider asking what they plan to do with the product. This question may reveal whether they might be an unidentified flexibility or a new product opportunity. Sourcing practices and preferences. Find out if they are interested in purchasing directly from you, or do they prefer to work through a distributor. Depending on past experiences, they may have hesitations on sourcing through certain channels. Be sure to find out if you can address these potential issues proactively. Solicitations and procurement. Ask what type of procurement method they typically use for products you are interested in selling, and what the timing is for those solicitations. It is important to understand that certain products may commonly be purchased informally, while other products may need to be purchased through a formal method due to the value of the purchase. Payments. Understand the school's invoicing and payment process is critical to anticipate cash flow requirements and avoid delays. Contingencies. It is often important to make plans for addressing the unexpected, such as a missed delivery, crop failure, natural disaster. These things happen, and it is important that you understand and establish a clear expectation and have a mutual understanding for addressing them. This reduces risk and helps maintain working relationships. It is important to be patient when approaching school nutrition directors. Working directly with the farmers may be new to them, as working with schools is to you. Here are a few things you can do to jumpstart the relationship building and to build trust. Avoid judgment and don't shame the school food. Remember, school nutrition staff is doing this work for many of the same reasons you to feed hungry kids and support the community. Be prepared for a conversation. Prepare an overview of your practices and a list of questions to cover for the school nutrition director to help to ensure that the meeting is productive and benefits you both. Take time to learn about them by practicing some basic full school vocabulary and reviewing their menus. Consider bringing along some product to sample and some marketing materials so they can get to know you. Never show up unannounced. Food service directors are often very busy and have a broad diversity in roles and capacity. Some may be running a whole new show on site at the school, while others are managing a very complex system from a centralized office. Always call ahead and make an appointment, if possible. Avoid times such as lunch periods. Example would be like 10:30 to 1. Share your expertise. Productively sharing your information about your operation cycle will help you find common ground and support negotiations. Communication is the key. Be sure to get a direct contact information. Ask them about their preferred mode of communication. Is it email, text, in person? And establish a follow-up action. Remember, developing trusted relationships does take time, and it may be necessary to start slowly and build trust through offering samples, piloting sales, and pulling in support from local school champions. So it is important to access how school market practices and vendor requirements align with your farm goals and capacities to determine if selling directly is a good fit. Here are some questions you can think about, answer. Do you have time to market products on your own? Do you have time to invest in developing and maintaining these relationships? Do your farm goals align with their program goals? Does the school value direct relationships with their producers? Promote local farms? Have supportive policies and programs? Do you have the capacity to meet the school's product needs on your own? Does the volumes you align with the volumes they need? They take your products as they are? Do you have the infrastructure to do minimal processing? Do the packaging and label requirements fit your farm's post-harvest handling? Do you have a traceability system? Do your quality management systems align with the standards and specifications expected? Do you have grading equipment? Can you respond to solicitations in a method and timeframe as expected? Are you ready to maintain consistent communication and trouble potential issues? Do your farm capacity, product mix, and production volume allow for you to price your products competitively? Can you afford potential payment delays. Are you interested in promoting your farm in a school community and partnering with special events, field trips, and possibly visiting classrooms? So many things to decide. Conclusion and next steps. Some case studies. They're in the producer manual, which we shared the first meeting. I sent out a link last time we met, and I can certainly send out another meeting link to this, the case studies. A food hub. So we've looked at the different, now that we've reviewed all the options you have for getting your food into the school markets, we encourage you to explore how school buyers utilize creativity within their required procurement and add value to their CNPs, target specific markets, and meet the needs of local producers. These resources are included in the Digging Deeper section in your producer workbook and are available online at the National Farm to School website. So we have the Food Hub, DoD, and direct to school marketing purchase options. I welcome you to review those in your manual. If you have any questions, we can discuss it next week. And again, I am Malisa Niles, Farm to School, South Dakota Specialty Producers Association. That was the material that was in the lesson for today from the National Farm to School. I welcome any questions, or if I could certainly be a help.